What's up, you guys? I realized halfway through editing this video that the intro that I recorded sucked. So this is the intro to the video. It's basically just going to be a follow-up on the blue AE86 with the 7AG in it that has been on my channel in the past that I haven't uploaded a video on in years. Just wanted to keep you guys up to date with where the car's at, and I don't know, maybe hold me accountable for actually working on the damn thing. I'd like to get it done, so here we go. So this is the car that is getting the 7AG that I'm sure a lot of you have seen on YouTube. Obviously there's no motor in it right now. It's over here. Anyway, motor was not in good shape. It had basically zero oil pressure. There was a multitude of reasons why that happened. To start, I gotta explain kind of what a 7AG is so you understand. It's basically a stroker motor of a 4AG. This is a 4AG cylinder head. This is a 7A FE cylinder block and crankshaft with 4AG bits all throughout, 4AG oil pump, pistons, and whatnot. It basically lengthens the stroke, so it makes it a 1.8 instead of a 1.6. Well, because you're lengthening the stroke, there's certain problems that come about. Let me show you here in a second. When you lengthen the stroke, you're basically increasing the offset of the rod journals on the crankshaft. That you're offsetting them so it comes down further in the bore and it goes up further in the bore, thereby increasing your overall stroke of the piston, gives you more displacement, more torque, more power, all that stuff. So as you can imagine, the rods come down further into the oil pan. I know I'm pointing up, but the motor's upside down, so this is where the oil pan goes. Anyway, that becomes an issue with clearance sometimes. So this is a factory 4AG 20 valve, actually, because it has this notch in it. Anyway, factory windage tray. As you can see, it's not actually even sitting all the way down on the block because it's touching the rods. That's no bueno. That can't happen. You can't have your connecting rods be hitting things while the engine is trying to run. So, because of that, what most people do is they get a spacer. This one is from MRP. I actually don't know if anybody else makes a spacer or if only MRP does it, but you get a sump spacer that goes just like so, and then you can put your windage tray on top. Now you have clearance. The rods will no longer smash into your windage tray and cause havoc inside of your motor. So, the first time I built this engine, I didn't do that. Let me show you what I did instead, which I think was potentially the root cause of most of my problems with the motor. So here we have a oil pan I actually also got from MRP. This is a special, look, MRP logo, baffled oil pan. You can see the little trapdoors down here in the bottom. They stayed on the website, or at least they used to. I don't know if it still says on the website that you can fit this oil pan onto a 7A bottom end without a sump spacer if you clearance the windage tray. I didn't like the idea of a sump spacer. I didn't like the idea of a sump spacer initially because I didn't like having multiple sealing surfaces against the cylinder block. It just seemed like more potential for leaks and other issues, and so I was like, great, I can just clearance the windage tray and it should be fine. I wish I could find the old one. I think I might have thrown it away already, but originally I clearanced it on the back edge and had to punch it down because it was touching back here. Now, I didn't do like proper measuring when I was setting this up. Like, I didn't spin it around with like, putty or grease or anything like that to see if it was getting close anywhere. I just turned it, saw where it was touching, hammered that down a bit so it wasn't touching, and was like, great, it's good. Well, when an engine gets hot, gets under load, things start moving and flexing and expanding. Where you once had clearance, you might not have clearance anymore. And I think that's what happened, is up in the front here, where initially it had clearance because the windage tray actually sloped down. I don't know what happened first. I don't know if this broke first, because you can see how thin this is right here. I think that may have broken, so then this was loose and vibrating in there. And then this is actually where the crank was hitting it. And it hit enough times to break this piece off, and obviously because it was smashing into the windage tray, there was a lot of metal that went through the motor. It took out the bearings. I had no oil pressure. Everything was bad and shitty, and it sucked. We are solving our sump issues now by not using this thing. It's a great design, all in all. Honestly, like, I think it's a pretty nice oil pan, but I've had too many issues with it between the windage tray. It's leaked a couple times and cracked. It's actually cracked right now. And I think it might just need some bracing or something like that. Maybe it was from my crank hitting the windage tray and caused more stress on the pan than needed to be there. I don't know, but it cracked and it was pouring oil everywhere. When I first got it, actually, it had a pinhole leak. Where was that at? Back here. You can see those heat marks because I had a buddy of mine weld that up for me. It had a pinhole leak right there. So I'm going to a tried and true setup, which is a spacer with a factory stamped steel oil pan. These things don't crack, they don't break, there's not any weird stuff to go wrong with them. It's just a frickin' oil pan and it works. On top of all of my oil pan woes, I also think I had an issue with the machine shop I went to originally. When I took the motor apart, I don't know if this is because of the metal in the oil issue and the motor having low oil pressure and whatnot. I wouldn't think so because it was pistons, but the piston to wall clearance was actually 1 to 2 thousandths bigger than the spec sheet for the pistons. I think the machine shop bored them a little big. I don't know if they were just going off of their own guesstimates for what forged pistons should be, but the thing always piston slapped, even when it was warm. So that was, I think, a contributing factor as well. Probably added a lot of vibrations in the motor that didn't need to be there. Vibrations, sump clearance problems, metal in the oil. The motor was basically doomed from the start. Yeah, I don't want to go through blowing up another motor again. I would really like this one to just work and be good and drive the car around on the street, take it to some drift days, have some fun, make some more videos, maybe you guys will watch them. Stay tuned, I guess. Shout out all you 10 people that are probably going to watch this. I appreciate you. But that's it. Take it easy.